Hey, Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakurash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us this truth. A sincere Shalom to the hopeful elect that's out there listening, learning, and or teaching. Shalom. All right, so today I want to go into the lesson, going into how, riches are not really to be desired on this side, and how we're supposed to be really praying to the Lord to keep us within a certain balance. All right, which I'm going to go ahead and get right now in the book of Proverbs. We're going to go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 30, and verse 7. All right, this is Proverbs, chapter 30, and verse 7. And it reads, 2 things have I required of thee, deny me them not before I die. Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither riches, give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me. That's right. So it's saying, that he doesn't desire to have poverty or riches. All right. It's going to explain why in the next verse. Lest I be full and deny thee. Right? So if I'm rich, I'm going to end up denying the Lord, is what he's saying. Or you're going to end up denying the Lord. Right? It says, lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is Yahweh? Or lest I be poor and steal and take the name of my power in vain. Right? If you're too poor, you end up compromising, what you're supposed to be doing. We end up sinning. And so, you see, it's almost like this perfect balance, man. And it makes me think about narrow road. The scriptures goes into how you're supposed to work and provide for your own. All right. But at the same time, you don't want to take it to the extreme with this hustle culture that's out here, where people think they're grinding themselves to dust in order to make riches on this side. And, they have all these big giant goals. And, that's going into how, these people want to set up their bed here in America, in this world. Okay, but like the scriptures say, this is not our rest. Okay, so we're supposed to be looking forward to the kingdom. And here on this earth, we're merely just passing through, man. And so we got to provide, for ourselves and our families. But at the same time, we don't really need all this fancy shit, We're really supposed to be more stoic and more minimalists in this thing, man. All right? But yeah, man, with that, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to grab Luke chapter 11 and 3, grab a precept to this. All right? Because, a lot of you might have read this or pray it every day. It may go over our heads, but it's going into the same thing. So we're going to go to the book of Luke chapter 11. All right, this is Luke, the 11th chapter. And we're going to start at verse 1. So this is, the Lord's Prayer. So it says, and it came to pass that as he was praying in a certain place, when he ceased, one of his disciples said unto him, Lord, teach us to pray as John also taught his disciples. And he said unto them, when ye pray, say, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Right? So that's the Lord's Prayer. We're praying, hallowing the Lord's name, praying for his kingdom to come here on the earth, right? For his will to be done on earth as it is in heaven, right? And then verse 3 is the point. Give us this day, Salakia, it says, give us day by day our daily bread. So notice it says, Give us day by day our daily bread, right? Because, in this life, we're supposed to be living one day at a time, man. That's it. We're not supposed to be worried about stocking up a shit ton of riches on this side. Like these people that want to have more than enough and hoard all this stuff, it's like, fuck all that, man. At the end of the day, all this stuff is going to get destroyed by thermonuclear fire. When the Lord returns and destroys and judges this whore, Babylon, also known as America. Okay, so why would we be setting up our bed here? Why would we be having all these riches on this side if it's all going to come to naught? It's all vanity, man. That's why in that Proverbs 30 and 7 through 9, it was talking about, remove far from me vanity, man. Which vanity is pointlessness. All right, this riches on this side is pointless, man. This fiat currency, a fucking digital number in your bank account, it doesn't mean anything, man. The true riches is this truth, man. That's the true riches. All right? But let's go to Matthew chapter 13 and 22. Because there's a good parable in Matthew chapter 13. It talks about, how this desire for riches and desire for, all this extra material shit is really a trap, for lack of a better word. It's something that gets in the way. All right, it really doesn't matter. Right, so this is Matthew 13, starting in verse 22. All right, it's going into the parable of the sower. I'm going to skip down to verse 22. It says, he also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. You see, a brother may come into this truth. He'll be going to camp. He'll be making his videos, but then he gets caught up, in that hustle. He starts a business on the side. He starts doing all these different things. Next thing you know, his love for the truth goes cold, and his love for this, the money and riches and, fame on this side goes up, and he loses focus. He stops making videos. He stops coming to camp. The word was he became unfruitful, man, because your fruits are your works. You see? But yeah, them thorns, man, that's them thorns. That's what those riches, that desire for riches is likened unto thorns, man. You see? And those desire for riches choked the word out of him, man. You see, you don't want to be like that. But you want to be like the one in verse 23 here. It says, but he that receives seed unto the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit and bringeth forth some 100-fold, some 60, and some 30. That's right, man, because when you really understand this truth, okay, you understand the word, you know that riches don't matter on this side, man. We're going to have riches in the kingdom. So why would we be striving for that here when we know the Lord's got our back? We're going to have true wealth. We don't have true wealth here. Even if you have so-called wealth, you're still a slave in America. You're still a second-class citizen, right? If you're a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American, right, a true biblical Hebrew Israelite, you are a slave in this world, man, until the Lord establishes the kingdom of heaven. So being a slave here, you can have all the money you want. You're still not going to get respect. You're still not going to be able to enjoy your riches either, because this world is so tainted and corrupt, man. You can't enjoy real food. Your water, food, and air is still poison. Okay, your women are still acting up no matter how much money you give them. It's not like you're going to pay them to act right, bro. That has to come through fear of the Lord. All right, so you're not really going to have women, even though you have women because of the money. But do you really have them? This is all a facade, smoke and mirrors. This world doesn't matter, man. This whole world is a fucking dream. All right? So ultimately, the only thing matters is this truth and obeying the Lord and doing what we're supposed to, so we could do what? That's storing up for ourselves treasures in heaven, man. Which it talks about that here in the book of Matthew chapter 6. All right, in verse 19, it says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break thorough and steal, man. That's right. Someone could break into your house, steal all your stuff. All right? Fucking your things get old and break apart. You know, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, this devil passes a law, you know, and taxes you more, and all the money you made, you know, it goes away. You know, inflation goes up. You know, hey, Esau, Edom is a thief. You know, so that's another way that could apply, man. You know, this devil inflating the prices on everything, right? Raising taxes, raising everything, lowering the wages. So now you hustling yourself to make Esau rich, and you only getting a little bit more rich. See? It's fucking pointless, man. All right? But yep, back in Matthew 6 and 19, go to verse 20, it says, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break thorough nor steal. That's right. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. That's right, man. You want your heart on things above, your mind on this truth, the true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures. All right, you know, and hope for that kingdom, man. That kingdom is coming, man. We hope to receive salvation and be a part of that. You know, being the first fruits. We're gonna have unimaginable, vast amounts of wealth in the kingdom, man. Even the 2/3 are gonna have great wealth, man. But we're gonna, Lord's will, be the elect. You know, I can't even put it into words, man. You know, we're going to have planets, whole planets to ourselves, man. All right, incredible, vast amounts of land, you know, animals, gold, silver, precious stones and metals, and, you know, slaves. All right. We're going to have so much, man, and we're going to be able to enjoy it all, because the world is going to be ruled under a righteous vibration, you know, through Yahweh Shai. You know, Yahweh Shai and his elect ruling this earth in righteousness, man. So we're not going to have to worry about a law changing that fucks everything up. We're not going to have to worry about people poisoning food, water, thieves, all that bullshit we got to worry about here, man. We ain't going to have to worry about that up there, man. All right? Because, again, them true riches, man, all right, is this faith, this truth, man. So we're going to go to James chapter 2 and verse 5. It says, hearken, my beloved brethren, have not the Most High chosen the poor of this world? That's right. A lot of us, in His truth, we're poor, man. We come from the hood. We don't you know, we're not rich. We don't come from these famous bloodlines. These families, these old money. We don't come from these famous people, or our family was just like, poor people, just regular poor people struggling to get by, and we're the same way. Okay, but the Lord will do that, man. The scriptures talk about how the Lord chose the foolish things of this world to confound the wise, roughly paraphrasing, man, because everybody wants to listen to a rich man who's established. Okay, but the Lord, He looks at the inward parts, man, the parts that other people don't see, the people of this world can't see, man. All right, so yeah, man, get that shit out of your head that, oh yeah, that's gonna make me a better person. It doesn't make you a better person to be rich, man. It just makes your life easier, man. But the true riches, like I'm saying here, is this truth, man. All right, so back at James 2 and verse 5, hearken, my beloved brethren, have not the Most High chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith. That's right, rich in faith. That's the true riches right there, man. All right, because it's through faith in Yahweh Shai that we're going to be saved and become joint heirs with Yahweh Shai in the kingdom, man. Lord's will we be of them first fruits, man. It says, and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him. Boom, you see? Verse 6, but ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? That's right, man. You wicked 2/3 Jakes, they can't figure that out, man. You know, Esau Edom's got you over here all fucked up, hustling and bustling, working 3 jobs, trying to start a rap gig on the side because you want to get rich. You know? That's the man, that's the reason, all right? You know, the word suffering, man, is because of our enemies, man. And the scriptures say to not accept those people, to not be like them, man, to stop trying to be like them, right? Envy not the oppressor, man. Fuck the oppressor, man. Focus on this truth of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, and that's how we're ultimately going to get true freedom and riches, man, in the kingdom, man. Right? You could make it big in this world, sure, go ahead, man. All right? But at the end of the day, all you did was build a house in a bad neighborhood, man. You know, you might have the best house in a bad neighborhood, but it's still a bad neighborhood. You see? You know, speaking metaphorically. Okay, because this world is wicked, and all you're doing is stacking up riches in a shitty system that oppresses the poor, man. All right, but not to go too going off too much on a tangent. You know, the point is stated. You know that, you know, the true riches is this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and faith in the scriptures. All right, and you know, hey, as long as the Lord is giving us day by day our daily bread, we got a roof over our head, we got food in our stomach. All right, we got a job that we could work. You know, if we lose our job, the Lord will get us another job. You know, as long as we doing all right, we not out there in the elements, you know, and we're not rich, right? Too rich to where we forget about the Lord. Hey, then we're doing all right, man. You know, so we're only supposed to have enough to get by, you know, and ultimately receiving salvation, you know, will make up for all the lost time that you may feel like you lost here. All right, because this is a short period we're going to be in. Like the scriptures say, you know, and let's get that real quick. It talks about how the weight and glory is going to be so much better than what we suffered in this world, roughly paraphrasing. So, yeah, 2 Corinthians 4:17, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight and glory. Yeah, all the stuff we suffered here, man, is small compared to the amount of glory and just awesome life that we're going to live in the kingdom, man. So yeah, man, with that, I pray this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect. I want to finish by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakorash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone and taught us his truth. And Shalom Wa, Abad Babal, Shalom.